Okay. So people are still coming in, but we can start. I think there we have some new members. So we already have nearly 20 new members as compared to the previous round. So now we repeat some of the information about the DIH² network, and then we will address some new topics. And for you will also have a possibility to access this. This is recorded. I think you already noticed that. And afterwards, it would be available on the DIH² YouTube channel, so you can actually access it from there. So I think you all know that DIH² is at the moment is a European project, and the objective what we are doing is basically it's a large network of pan-European digital innovation hubs. Everywhere we have almost every single European country present in our network, and actually multiple digital innovation hubs are present from every country of Europe. And our goal is to extend it in such a way that we have outreach to every region in Europe. So that's the goal. So why DIH²? So why do we have this DIH² on the Digital Innovation Hub Square? Is because we want to really present, we want to be our strength and our power across Europe is being a network. So according to the Metcalfe's law of network, the value of the network is proportional to the square of the number of connected users. So if we are more digital innovation hubs, so this value of our network, the value what we can create for each other, the value we can create for ourselves is not linear, is not directly proportional to the number of data, but this is actually a square of the. So you get so much more value by being connected, by being part of this network. The fundamental idea is that all of us are doing something very different and something very special. Many of us have something very specific, which others don't have, and together we can come together to do something which is missing from the other side, and basically support each other in that way that all together we can all move forward. And that's basically the idea of this network. That's why the Commission, I think things have been moving on and changing. Now you know that the Commission has also launched a network of European Digital Innovation Hubs. I know, and I'm sure many of you have been applying to be part of that European Digital Innovation Hubs also. And so this concept of putting together different digital innovation hub is basically moving forward. It's very powerful, and the Commission actually thinks that this is something very, very valuable. So you can see that this is something that the total is nearly over $500 million from the European funding, and nearly the same amount will come from the regions in this European Digital Innovation Hub network, as you know. So it's over €1 billion which will be invested into the next few years to execute this network. However, you know, this European Digital Innovation Hub network is more generic, is much more high level. These networks are supposed to be doing everything from agriculture and food to healthcare to a high performance computation, even making sure that the people in the government offices, the bureaucrats, they start to use computer and some digital system rather than pen and paper most of the time. So the scope of European Digital Innovation Hubs and the network, what they will be doing is way wide, is a lot more activities they will be doing, and they will not be focused on anything particularly related to robotics. they will not be focused on manufacturing either. So it is, maybe there are some digital innovation hubs which are focused on manufacturing in this, but not most of them are not. Most of them are formulated in a way that they are doing everything about everything in their regions. So how this digital, our network, the DIH² network, is differentiating itself from the European Digital Innovation Hub is that we have a focus, we have a mission on something very, very specific. Michael, just keep checking if people are coming in. I think there are some people coming in. The idea of all these different networks is to do things together, because you can see on this picture, which is also very, very famous, that Digital Innovation Hub requires to do so many things. They need to have so many things going on, and not every single element is present in every single Digital Innovation Hubs. So together, by coming, we support each other and fill these gaps. And that's the fundamental idea. In our case, when we are focused on manufacturing and robotics, the fundamental idea is that the robotics is a very wide technology, even for manufacturing. It requires so much, so many different kind of expertise. So they all should be able to come together from different regions to help another region. Okay. So from the very start, we have been very inclusive, and this is going to be our way of working. We have, as I said, that we have now representation from every single country of Europe, and we have also representation now from many representatives from each country of Europe. So in that way, we will continue to expand, and actually you would be able to find your information soon on our website on the DIH². Also, we will create a member area for the on the DIH² website, where it would be possible for you to log in and access information and post messages and connect with other people, formulate partnerships, discuss European upcoming proposals, present what you have already been doing in the regional level, or if you have some European project, success stories coming out of them. So it's a way of sharing what you always want to share with because sharing on some groups like YouTube, or sharing media on LinkedIn, it's something which is not necessarily reaching to the audience which matters, which actually can learn about your stories and ask you to be part of their next story. So this is the difference what we want to make here. So as I said, that we cover all the regions of Europe, and our ambition is to reach over 170 during that. This is not the final target. The final target is much larger, but during the course of the project, because you know that you all will be signing a contract with us, so we will sign contract with 170 of them, because that's the amount of money we have available. But beyond that, if the network keep expanding, keep growing, that's great for us. What do we do together is increase the deployment of robotics and AI technologies in the factories for more agile production. So I think if we think about robotics, I think robotics have been part of lots of manufacturing processes, and it's constantly increasing. But fundamentally, I think one of the key elements which will make the robots to go into more and more applications, solve more and more manufacturing problems, make it available for more and more solutions, more and more problems. It's when it is empowered with the artificial intelligence, when it can behave more smart, more intelligent, to do its task, what it is doing, because most of the robotic applications are now based on more or less following fixed paths. and doing the fixed things, and for example, handling of soft materials, handling of fabric, and making sense in a big pile that this is a battery is actually something what the humans can do and robots are still not able to do. So I think those are the things which are very, very important. Those are the things which will drive the innovations in robotics forward. So that's why I think AI is going to be a key element for us for keep going forward. Okay, I think we maybe many of you and many of us have been part of many different this networks. You know that, for example, EU Robotics is one of the network of different RDOs. The different and EFRA is another platform, and then there are some others. But there is one very important differentiation we want to make for the DIH² network. There is not, these are not only a group of RTOs. We are actually collecting digital innovation hubs, which are not necessarily experts in robotics. And this is a very, very useful thing, because a long experience of mine being part of very many this kind of network is that every one of the, when you put together lots of partners who are all working on robotics, they are all doing very similar things. And it is very difficult to make good, useful, and complementary partnerships in those networks. And but if we look at the demand of the innovation, if we look at the requirements from the European Commission, which is coming, and in many topics, we are looking for diversity of actors. We are looking for experts who are expert in robotics, but then we are also looking for experts who are in social, who have expertise in social science and humanities. We are looking for people who are expert, who are artists, who have expertise in creative thinking and actually solving a problem from a completely different point of view. So creating new application for robotics artists, many artists, I don't know how many of you are familiar, but actually are experimenting with robots to create really interesting new possible businesses, new possible areas. And I think there they can really benefit. For example, I can tell you there is a project which I'm coordinating. It's called Better Factory. There we are working together, manufacturing companies, robotic companies, and artists, 3 actors working together to solve, to see that how the robot can solve this problem which has not been solved before. And there has been already Commission itself have identified quite many new innovation possibilities from there, from that project. So this is something which is very interesting. So I think the difference what we are making in our network is to put together many different actors. Another very important actor what we have invited is to have this clusters, manufacturing clusters, because what is missing in the, if we look at many of these existing networks, they're missing the number of good end users. The end users, what the Commission is looking to reach out, especially manufacturing SMEs. So in our cluster, in our network, we have lots of these manufacturing technology clusters and also SME clusters. So you can find the startups, you can find the end user manufacturing SMEs you're looking for. So this network actually creates a whole set of different expertise, which is the main purpose of different digital innovation hubs coming together. So what we will do, what actually we do as a network, is that we continuously engage you to inspire their R&D programs. For that, we have a partnership set up with EU Robotics For example, with ADRA, the public-private partnership, and Made in Europe public-private partnerships. So we are in communication with different public-private or different technology platforms who are the private side of these public-private partnerships. And we are sharing our information, which we collect from our digital innovation hubs, the ideas, the needs, and the next topics which should be researched, which should be put as innovation or research into the European research programs. We are communicating to them. We will also engage regional bodies for better funding opportunities. So it is not about only European funding, but it's also about mobilizing the regional funds, the national funds. So there is, I think you probably know, there is an organization called EURADA, European Regional Association, or is an association of regional development agencies in Brussels. Basically, all of them are coming and representing their regions in Brussels. So one of the events we will always organize so that you will have the possibility to meet your regional development agency in Brussels, which is then promoting your interest not only in the Brussels, but also in the region, and also making sure that the things you're trying to do, things you have the possibility to go forward, you can actually get funding for that. Build partnership to achieve collective net excellence. So the idea would be that we will organize certain matchmaking events, help different partners to get together to build partnerships and create new proposals, new ideas to go forward. And at the end of the day, after doing all this, you would like to share your stories and knowledge to the rest of the world. And that's one thing what we will also do. So we will provide a platform, and actually you have been hearing some of those in the past webinar, and some of them you will hear today. That it's at the end of the day, it's very important that we do all good work, but it's also very important that we tell about our good work, and not only we tell about good work, about our good work, but we tell it to the right people, we tell it to the right audience, and we tell it in the right way. I think my experience with many European projects is that the dissemination and marketing part is extremely poor and extremely weak. There is some researchers who is creating all this material and trying to put on the web with absolutely with a target to pick mark a checklist that how many messages were sent and how many events were organized, instead of really understanding that what is their audience, what they are trying to sell, and who they are trying to sell, and how they should be selling it. So this is something we would really like to support and help you doing this job. And this stories from your side not necessarily come from the European project. They also come from your regional activities. The amazing things you're doing on everyday basis in your laboratories. There should be an audience, because when we are looking for partnerships for innovation actions, for research programs, we are looking for people who have been already doing these certain things in their labs, and that's how we build partnerships, and that's how we look for partners. So these are our activities, but this is not the complete set. This is the initial value proposition of this network, what we are offering. Currently, you all know that you will be getting paid from our side, but our long-term goal is that we will charge a small membership fee per year, and then we will offer these services. But collectively, as a group, our operational model is very simple, in a way that every member have a vote, every member can suggest things, and then we can vote on that, and then we can actually decide what to do as the next steps. So we can actually change, and we can do new and more things. What is coming next? I think many of you have already provided the information about your LER, about your digital innovation hubs. You have filled out the online form, and that's very good. The ones who have joined the network now, who are new, please do that as soon as possible. If you don't know, then please contact us that how to do it. It's a form which we have shared the link with you, and you should fill it out. In the follow-up email of this webinar, I will share the link again anyway. You will have the possibility to participate in the mobility program. So this is the one other thing what we are trying to promote. If some of you are researcher want to visit another research institute, another digital innovation hub, or a company in another European country, we can fund that. We can help funding that travel for that researcher. So if you or any of your researchers are looking, the condition what we have is that at least the trip should be at least for a month. So it cannot be a trip for a few days just to go. It has to be a month trip. And you can you will the only requirement is to write one small page, and then you will get support from us. So it's around 2,300 euros per month. So if your researcher decides to go for 3 months, so you can 2,100 euros, sorry, so they can get 6,300 euros from our side. And the idea would, and this is lump sum, so basically they can decide, they can use this money for paying the extra rent, for flight tickets, and maybe some extra if the food prices are more in the place where they're visiting. So we can give this money to cover those costs. So this is something you can all think of and contact us if you're interested, or some researcher in your laboratory is interested in doing that. Maybe you want to build a good strategic partnership with someone in another country. Our first meeting was planned at the end of March, at the end of this month, like the physical meeting, which is a compulsory element for all the network members to be there. It's part of your contract, or it's going to be part of, I will explain it in a bit. So first meeting what we have is going to be now 31st of June, because the ERF, European Robotic Forum, if you know, because of the pandemic, it was delayed. So they pushed it forward in the June now. So now we also then pushed our meeting in the June to coincide it with European Robotic Forum. But it will not be on the same days at Europe as European Robotic Forum. So we will have it on the day after our meeting. 31st of June. So please put it in your calendar and make sure that you are there to represent, and we will follow up. And probably this is actually a very wonderful place to start, because you know that the digital emerging technologies calls are already announced. The deadlines are in November. So this would be a great place to start formulating the partnerships for the next calls, which are in November. And early you start, I think the chances of success are higher in that way. Many of you have been wondering or even asking that when do you receive the contract? So there we have applied for an amendment in the, you know, the DIH² is a European project currently. And what we are going to sign a contract with you as a DIH² project. That was the original idea. But of course, we want this network to continue beyond the project. We want to continue to run this project, run this network beyond the DIH² project. And so for that, we have created a non-profit organization. The name of the organization is Inclusive. You can actually check the web address of this, go and check it. This organization would become part of through the amendment and the part of the project, and they will be the ones signing the contracts with all the digital innovation hubs for 10,000 euros, as you know. So And this organization will continue to run the network and provide the services, organize all the events, organize all the activities for the network, even after the project when we are ending. So at the moment, you can expect to receive the contracts in May, because the amendment is taking a little bit time. And the contractual conditions will remain the same as described in the open call. So nothing will change from your side. The only thing is that you will, instead of signing the contract with VTT, which is the coordinator of the project, you will sign the contract with the organization which will be the coordinator of the network during the project and beyond. Okay, and I think lots of these things what we say are basically we have to put everything into practice. And here is how we do things, and this is one way of doing things, and there are a number of best practices, number of good things, good ways of doing things we have discovered during this process, and we would like to share it with you, and at the same time we would like you to share this with us. As I said, that the objective of our network is to deploy more and more robots into manufacturing. And so what we did is to run multiple technology transfer programs to test certain ideas and certain hypotheses, and then come up with the results and what would be the best way of doing that. And I'm not saying that this is the only way and this is how it should always be done. But I'm sure that you have some national programs or you have some EU projects where you have done it in a different way. I happen to run quite a lot of projects which have this FSTP mechanism. So we select the outsiders from, and then we use them for putting forward some hypotheses, and we do make them do the technology transfer, and we learn what they have done and what went right and what went wrong. So from this very large number of nearly 50, I think so far I have been part of these kind of experiments. So we have been collecting that information and we have been putting together as this technology transfer program. So fundamentally, the idea is that you create a funnel. You start by selecting a certain high profile potentially successful companies, and start the funding in a way, as you can see, that as the funnel gets tighter and tighter, the smaller and smaller the amount of funding increases and increases. So in the beginning, I think it is very important what we have found to spend a lot of amount of time with the small companies, with the small medium-sized companies. With very, very small amount of money. So this money, what you spend in the very beginning, which is very small, and then the amount of time you spend is actually very, very well spent. For many different reasons. First of all, of course, they get to know you because you get to do it with many, many different companies. So they get to know you, they get to know the technology, they get to know what can be done. And maybe if not today, they want to do it in the future. The second thing is that it's actually guiding the companies to really formulate their problem to make their business case as crystal clear. And then I think in our case, we always run an evaluation process, a jury day, as you know, that's also very big, because there are two very important things. One is the external evaluation. We always have selected external evaluation because that gives some sort of transparency, that gives basically independence when they are selected, what companies are selected here. But that's not enough a good thing to do, because no matter how much you explain to the external evaluators that what we are looking to do, they are always going to select what they like. They are going to select what they find the most innovative. For example, they will end up selecting a lot of companies who are trying to make new robots, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's also not necessarily the thing what we were looking to do, because we were looking to deploy more robots into the factories. So we also have an internal jury day. So eventually we make a selection by ourselves because we know what we would like to do. Further, I think we think that it is important that we go beyond the technology. So we are also offering these different vouchers. We give companies possibility to buy legal services, buy data protection services, and buy services, for example, if they have some cybersecurity issues, or they would like to train their workers to use the technology, and so on. So all these different vouchers we also, so I think this is something can be very useful for many of you to include in either upcoming European projects you're putting together, or if you are looking to set up a national program or a regional project, this is a very, very useful way. And then I think the last part of our technology program is to make sure that the companies, if they have discovered the business case, which was identified in the very beginning, and now it has gone through the experimentation, so they have done the testing, so we can support them. We actually support them with the finding additional funding for the deployment. I think we have time for some questions, then we have to move to the next presentation. So if anybody have a question, please just unmute your mic, say or raise your hand. Okay, Aniko.
Yes, hi. I'm Aniko Balog from Indomine, Hungary. So it wasn't really clear for me. So we have to organize these open calls, or you are organizing the open calls?
I'm not. We organize the open calls, but what I'm suggesting, this is one way of doing projects in your regions also, that for example you can organize these open calls, and if you are looking for support to organize these open calls in your region or in your projects, we can actually help you with that. We organize the open calls, we are not organizing them anymore, if that's what you're asking.
So you know that I've already been contacting you previously concerning the contract. So basically we have to organize the open calls. This is what you say in the future.
If you set up a project, and if you think that the open calls is one of the good ways in this project to do the things, then you organize the open calls. But I'm not asking you to organize the open calls.
Okay. Thank you very much. Now it's clear. Thank you.
Okay. Anything else?
Yes, one more question, please. Can you elaborate more on what kind of activities exactly we are entitled to organize, to do, to host? Should they be only at the geographical location within the country where the organization is located, or we can, for example, organize in another country? And do we have any specific guidelines to follow in terms of what we organize and what can we fund with the budget that the organizations will receive through by signing the contracts?
Yeah, actually, the things what you have to do for the 10,000 euros you're going to get is already specified in the open call. So basically you're required to attend certain meetings with us physically. And I think first of them is going to be in Netherlands, in Rotterdam, together with the ERF. The one of them is that you sign up to the DIH² platform. And then the third one is that during these meetings, what would be you participate with us in creating some input, some feedback, let's say like some policy document, which we can share with the commission, which will basically be about like how to create, what should be the next research topics and all that. Beyond that, there is one practice we want to look into, that we organized so-called European, let's say, robotic days or regional robotic days. The idea is that every region, every RTO organize one day during a certain month of the year to invite companies and present their technology, present what is possible. So this is something which is which has been very fruitful because it makes you well known in the region, and also you get to know the companies who are interested and who are looking to solve their problems. So that's something we can look into in the future.
Do we need to receive approval from you for organizing such robotic days within the country, or we just do it and then expense?
As long as you do everything what is in the contract, everything else you do, we don't ask any questions, because if you know that we are going to give you 10,000 euros and we are going to ask certain things, we are not going to do any audit, we are not going to check how you spend that money. It is just too small money to conduct audit for 170 digital innovation hubs. So we are just going to give 10,000 euros to you, and you are in against what we have asked, and those, as I mentioned, those things already written in the contract. Other than that, everything extra you do, we don't ask anything. You can spend the budget in buying a television for your home, and we don't care.
Okay, thank you. And one last clarification question, because there is a message in the chat. So the meeting that we need to attend is on the 31st of June or 1st of July, or both?
Sorry, 1st of July, because June doesn't have 31 days. You're right.
Okay. Okay, sorry.
Yes, so
Okay.
it's my mistake.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's 1st of July.
Okay, thanks.
And another question, Silvia de los Santos for the Andalusian Technological Corporation. Okay, as far as I have understand, in the framework of the DIH², you are going to organize these 2 calls, isn't it?
We did organize already those 2 calls.
You organize it. This is more or less the information about the result of your call, isn't it?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, because we are involved in 2 European projects. We are managing cascade funding, and some of them are related in some way of robotics and advanced manufacturing and so on.
Okay.
So if we organize any and this year maybe we are thinking to organize a committee regarding a successful application of robotics in industry. If we are going to organize this panel, should we put anything or any logo? Should we say something about it or not? I don't know if you have any regulation of that, because we are doing things by our own regularly.
You don't have to do that. You can actually learn from us and apply those things in your program, and then if you learn something more, you can contribute back to us, and then we share it with the whole community. So
okay, so it's chairs best experience, learning experience. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you. There is one question regarding the Inclusin founder. So Inclusin has been founded by one organization. It's an independent organization. It has been founded by us, let's say like by me, together with some of my colleagues. Inclusion is going to run the network, is going to be the body which is going to sign the contracts with the partners, but it is not going to be an organization which is going to run, or the governance model of the DIH² is on its own. It's not, what should I say? So it is not run by Inclusion. DIH² is run because we need a legal body, we need a non-profit legal body to sign the contracts. So Inclusion is a very good starting point for us, because we have created this for these kind of purposes. So we start from there, but it doesn't mean that Inclusion have any say in that how the DIH² is run. This DIH² consortium there is no such thing that a consortium is going to formulate an organization. There is no such thing. It cannot work. It doesn't work. There needs to be an owner of everything, and that needs to be run. I don't think that's ever has worked. So somebody have to run the network. And I think that's all. Michael?
Okay, thank you, Lee. Just following up on a couple of things that were in the chat there. If you have not already subscribed to our YouTube channel, please do so. I'll give you the link, it's in the chat. Same with our LinkedIn channel. If you're not following us on LinkedIn, again, please do so. That's where we do most of our external communication. Regarding the European Robotics Forum, as Ali said, it's Friday the 1st of July in Rotterdam. And prior to that, we will be on stand at the European Robotics Forum from Tuesday the 28th of June to Thursday the 30th of June. So if anybody's attending ERF, we'd encourage you to do so. And please drop by and say hello. So let me just start by sharing my screen. And let me start here. I think Ali made the point about communication within European Commission projects. And it has typically followed a very similar path. And I think one of the things that we fall into, or the projects have fallen into, is the communication tends to be too technical. It tends to be us talking to ourselves too often. And the language that is used is sometimes a little bit bizarre. We see, I certainly see a lot of stuff which is clearly written in English, but it's written in a very odd form of English. And I think the key for communication is that we should always be just trying to communicate as simply as possible. We should understand the audience that we want to talk to, and we should be reaching out to them in a way that is engaging for them. A lot of what has been done in a lot of these European projects is certainly not engaging. I think you just need to ask yourself, if you were not involved in the project, would you actually listen to the message that is being aimed at you? We had a meeting of our consortia last week, and one of the things I talked to them about in that meeting was we're ultimately about telling stories. We should all be storytellers here. And in telling those stories, this is a quote from a guy called Jim Rohn: the goal of effective communication should be for listeners to say me too versus so what. So again, when you're looking at that message, would you want to know more about it? Or are you looking at that message and going, yeah, whatever? Fundamentally for us in DIH², our message is about robotics, it's about agile production, it's about SME manufacturing. That's almost all we have to say as our key takeaway from anything that we say to any of our members of our audience. When we start giving them pages and pages of stuff, we lose sight of them. They drift away and they don't listen to what we're saying. Within the DIH² project, we had really two key communication goals. The first one is to attract applications for the TTE open calls, which Ali's just spoken about. I will show you some of the stuff that we have done around that. And secondly, we are looking to increase the membership of the DIH² network. So one of the reasons you guys are here, we want to have more of you here. As Ali says, we need 170 plus, and the goal is obviously to then grow that network a lot beyond that. And we need to make a compelling reason for why people should join the network. And we've looked very carefully at what is it that engages, what is it that brings people in. A network is ultimately all about people. And what we want to do with this network is put those people right front and center. The only way that you can add value to this proposition is by having that strength in network. So we did two things. First of all, I'm going to show you very quickly what we did with videos, because we have done the first round of TTEs for us is completed. It was split into two. The first time around, we had 11 TTEs, of which 10 went to completion. One did not quite finish. And we're now in the process of starting the second round of TTEs. So when we look at what we've done with the first round of TTEs, we have video stories behind each of them. Those video stories ideally should be about 2 minutes long. We're trying to ideally just showcase the experiment. Again, one of the traps that we fall into is we have videos that are would typically be probably the owner of the factory standing in front of the screen and talking for about 5 or 6 minutes, and again everybody just drifts off. So it's very, we want this to be punchy, we want it to be engaging, we want it to be something that you can look at, not spend too much time on, but understand the message that's being said. So we want it to be as accessible to as wide an audience as possible. We wanted to highlight the challenges and the solutions that we found in the project. We also wanted them to talk about fireware, dashboards, and Rose apps. We produced films, and one of the key things here is we actually made them unscripted. We saw lots of other instances where very strong scripts were written for these things, and it became very unnatural. We wanted this to look as natural as we possibly could when we had people talking on screen, and we wanted them to find the best way that they could get across the message that they wanted to send. So we'll show you some of those in a second. And then the second thing which we've been doing around telling our success stories is using our LERs. As we said, this is a network of people, and the LERs, which are our local evangelists in robotics, they are front and center of our entire project. Without the LERs, this project would never have happened. They have brought together manufacturing outlets in the country with the technology provider, and they've seen that go from birth through to completion. And they have an amazing amount of knowledge and experience to share with everybody. And we'll show you some of the stories that we've created around those LERs. And how we did it, we basically did an hour-long interview that's been transcribed into a published article, and then we communicate that through LinkedIn. It will be on our website. We have it in PDF format, and we encourage everybody to share. I think one of the things that you guys can all do is, as we build out this network, and some of the diagrams that Ali shows you, where you see how that network expands exponentially. As we all link to each other and as we talk to each other, we share our experiences. So as you become members of the network, if there's anything that you would like to share that you think is relevant to everybody else within the network, just let us know. And we can get that story out there. We can get it beyond just your network. We can get it out into everybody else's network. And we're always looking for content that will enable us to do that. So let's quickly go to the videos, I think. Oh, where are the videos? Here are the videos. So again, if you haven't been to our DIH YouTube channel, this is it. You will find on here, just, there's the basics around what it is that we're doing. And then if you hit playlists, you will see that we currently have 3 sets of playlists. Note here, there's one called webinars. So this webinar will appear on this area of the YouTube channel at some point shortly after we've completed this. We have a video here that's about RAMP, which we're not talking about today, but I think you're all aware of. And here we have a playlist of all the success stories. I'm not going to spend time looking through these right now, but I'd encourage you to all go there, and you'll get an idea of those first 10 experiments and who the players were. So there's an SME in each case, and there's at least one technology provider. In some cases, there's more than one technology provider. And they just tell a very basic story. You can see it's everything from 2 minutes up to, I think 4:09 is the longest. They're all quite nicely shot. I think the production values on them are quite high. They are all in English. In most cases, I think they're subtitled as well. And they'll just tell some very nice stories. So please go and watch them, and you'll get an idea those of you who've been asking about the TTEs, this will give you an idea of what those first round of TTEs were. Once we have the second round of TTEs complete, we will add those to this channel. Going back to the playlists, I think that's it for that. So the second thing that we have been doing is we've been taking the LERs, and obviously each of these experiments had an LER involved. Of the 10 that are there, there's actually only 9 LERs because we had 2 in the same market. We had 2 in Portugal. What I've been doing is I've been talking to the LERs, and again, I'd encourage you guys to talk as much as possible to each other, because you all have a wide range of experience. You have very different experiences, and one of the things that we get out of talking to the LERs, and one of the things I've got out of talking to the LERs, is they all start to understand that sometimes when you have a problem and you don't know how to fix that problem, there's a very good chance that somebody else in the network has already experienced a very similar problem, and they might have a solution that is applicable to you. So this network is all about you using each other for those kind of purposes. Here's what the LER story looks like. Initially, this is one with Dalmantas, who is not here today. He's from the Lithuanian Robotics Association. And you'll see it basically forms a bunch of questions and his responses to it. And eventually it gets turned into something like this, which we use the DIH branding on, and we get a photograph. This is one of Harry Casilla at VTT, a photograph of him with a robotic dog, I think in this case. And this basically explains our ethos behind this. The evangelist is an enthusiastic advocate. Obviously, evangelist has a number of other meanings, in many cases religious, but there's also a meaning which is an enthusiastic advocate, and that's exactly what the LERs are. And we say here that they're about connecting people, and these guys are at the heart of our network. They build relationships, they advance our cause with amazing passion. And again, I'm not going to take you through each of this, but I would encourage you to go and look at this. It's on the LinkedIn page. I can send you a PDF of this one if you would like. And basically it tells who Harry is. We've got questions in here. For example, with Harry, we've asked him what's exciting about robotics today for him. And then he explains a little bit about how he brought the TTE together. And this, we're talking about major challenges that they had to overcome. What's the future for the TTE? And then we talk about why should other DIHs join the network, etc. And hopefully some of this resonates with you.
Michael, we are also running out of time.
That's it from me, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Stop sharing there, go back to the front.
Yes, thanks.
Anyone have any questions at all? Questions? No?
Okay. But in a way,
okay.
This is, but for I think we will close now the meeting. The time is over. But the 2 things I think you can take, first of all, this is about people. This is about you, and we would be happy to actually have you on board also with the similar stories. The second thing I would like you to invite you to think that if maybe creating each channel for your own project, because in the European branding is one of the most expensive and time-consuming tasks. So if there is a brand you can carry on, it's much better. So in the European project, huge amount of money is spent in creating one brand. By the time people get to know anything about this project, the project ends. So we would support if you would like to share your material and your stories on the DIH² platform, because then you will have a very big outreach. You will be able to show your success stories and your about your digital innovation hub to all the network very, very, very fast. So that's something we can look in the coming days. But for now, if you want to have more questions, I put one last slide very quickly online. Share my screen. How do I do that? And if this is our contact detail, you can actually send an email with any question you have. Other than that, I wish you all a very nice weekend. Thank you very much for being here. And I see you in a month. Again, we will have the next webinar on a different topic. Thank you very much.
Bye-bye.
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 Thank you, everyone. Goodbye.
Bye. Thank you so much
Thank you. Bye.
for the explanation.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, Ali.
Bye-bye.
Bye.